Welcome to episode 5 of the Connecticut Wedding Channel. This is a place for engaged couples to help narrow down vendors for their special day. My name is Jim Collins. I'm the owner of Collins Entertainment located in Newington, Connecticut. Today on the show, I'm having a conversation with wedding photographer Jason Henriques. Jason, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm thinking back now to September 17th of 2016. And let's talk a little bit about that. That was a day, it was a Saturday. And we worked with an awesome couple,
Yes.
Dennis and Takara, for their wedding day. And this was a wedding they had outdoors at the Priam Vineyards in Colchester. And what an amazing celebration that was.
Oh, such a good time. Great day.
There were so many moments that you captured.
We got to know Dennis and Takara very well before their wedding. We really like to get to know our couples and what's important to them, and not only them, but also their family members.
Yeah.
Mom and dad, what's important to them, because, most people, their mom and dad are going to be there and they're a big part of it. And their child is now getting married and, possibly leaving the nest at that time. So, what is mom and dad going to miss from that? And their parents were phenomenal. And, we had insight on what, dad loved about Takara and, what Dennis's mom loved about him, what was important to them. And even with Dennis and Takara, what are some things that, Dennis loves about Takara that, she might not even know that he loves about her.
Right.
And being able to know that and photograph those moments means so much more to him. So that when he looks at that and sees those little things that he loves, brings back more of that emotion and, brings him back to why he fell in love with her. And, being able to know that and then create that on the wedding day for them is amazing. There was so much there. I mean, her father's speech, it was amazing. He went on and everything he had full emotion in it.
Yes.
And I love that when, the parents, they give their speeches and you see people pulling out their napkins to wipe the tears away.
Yes.
Those heartfelt moments, you cannot make those up. You cannot create those. And most of the time when these people write these speeches, halfway through, they go out the window and everything comes out from the heart. And that's when the magic happens. And to be able to know that from getting to know them, you kind of know it's coming and you're able to capture that so that when they look back on that, those real moments are there.
Toasts play such an important role in the celebration, and it's part of capturing that emotion and the meaning for the couple and their family and friends and everybody that's connected to them. Because after all, people are coming to their celebration, and it is about that couple. Jason, let's start off. What are some tips that you have for couples in their search for a photographer?
Oh man, I can go on for days. But I think one of the biggest ones that I strive for is when you're looking for a photographer, make sure that you have a connection with the photographer or photographers that you're working with. Someone that you get along with, that you click with right away. Because on your wedding day, you don't just want a business transaction. You don't just want a photographer there. You want somebody that you know and trust there. So, there's enough stress to deal with for a wedding and wedding planning as it is. So if you know your photographer, you get to know them throughout the time, from the time that you book them, doing your engagement session, all the way up to the wedding. By the time the wedding comes, it's like there's an old friend there that already knows you, what's important to you and your family. What are those special moments? What matters to you versus creating just, a cool photograph? What are things that you're going to be able to look back at 10, 20, 50 years from now and say, oh my God, yes, that was us. That is us. Or when your kids look at them and say, wow, that's my mom and dad. Those are things that when you get to know your photographer and your photographer gets to know you, that it brings it to a whole nother level, because anybody can create, a beautiful image, but it's the emotion that's attached to that and some meaning that's involved in that photo when you look back at it that brings back those emotions and those memories versus just, a cool picture on the wall. So I really, really strive to get to know our couples. And I think that whoever you pick for a photographer, if you have that connection with them and they take the time to get to know you and what you want, that is like one of my best tips that I can give ever. Other ones are, you know, understanding that they're a legit business, that they have insurance. These are all the legal ones. Understanding how long they've been in business, you know, and, you know, what they do for a living, why they do it, you know, why they're passionate about photography. Are they just doing it as a side job, which is okay. I would never, you know, talk down about somebody who does, you know, a job on the side, as long as they're good at it and they put the time and work into it. But understanding that that's their passion and they love what they do when they're there, because then you know that you'll have an excellent experience with them. And at the end of the day, and you go back and look at your photographs, it's not just, you know, digital images that you're going to put on a website or on Facebook and forget about. It's something that you're going to look at and cherish for the rest of your life. These things become, you know, family heirlooms that you pass down. I can even remember, you know, when I started getting into photography, I had my grandparents' wedding album, and just opening up that book and holding it, having something tangible, and even just the smell from it just changes everything. You know, it brings you back to that place. Even though I wasn't there, looking through that album, you know, you feel like you were there. And especially as us, you know, I'm married. I've been married 7 years, together with my wife 11. And when I go back and look at our engagement photos and our wedding photos, the emotions that come back is just so powerful and moving. So having somebody that can understand that and create that for you, knowing that far into the future, those emotions are going to come back, is, I have no words for it. It's just that amazing. The biggest thing for me is that emotional connection that I get between the couples, you know, and seeing that love between them. That is what fires me up. You know, when I see these couples so in love and you see it, you know, and just the way they act with each other, it brings back all the emotion of when I saw my wife for the first time. You know, I can tell you everything about the first time I saw her, what she was wearing, everything. And all those emotions flood back to me. So when I'm shooting, you know, an engagement or even just talking to the bride and groom, like I get those butterflies in my stomach again. It rekindles my passion for my wife.
Me as well. Yes.
Like every wedding I go to, I'm not going to lie, I'm emotional. I cry at almost every single wedding.
Yeah.
And it's for that. Like I'm getting to be a huge part of somebody's day. Yeah. You know, one of the biggest days of their life. And that to me is my passion. Seeing that and being able to relive that and having all those emotions come back from my wedding and my wife. And it's amazing that I get to do this for a living.
Being part of that is amazing. And as a MC and entertainer myself, I feel the same way when I'm at events, and being part of that celebration and knowing how special that is, and to be part of that and helping create moments, whether it's just introducing something as far as a first dance and setting it up appropriately, or just listening to the toast and how heartfelt those are from family members or friends. And it brings me back, and it makes me think about my wedding as well. And every single event, there's a piece of that in there where I do think of that and reflect back. And I become very emotional. And I felt like I have to duck down a couple times to get my composure back, because there's just so much heart and emotion. And, yes. And that's why I love what I do. Tell me about engagement sessions.
I believe that engagement sessions are very important to do. One is so that you understand, you know, how your photographer works, you know, how they are behind the camera, and also to get you used to being in front of the camera, especially if you're someone who, you know, you guys don't take a lot of pictures together. You might be a little camera shy. You start to understand, you know, how it feels to be in front of the camera, you know, how your photographer may give you a little direction in posing and things, so you're not uncomfortable. And then by the day of the wedding, you know, you already know how we work. You already know how it feels to be in front of the camera, so you're a little bit more relaxed and more of those natural moments can occur. So I think when you're looking for a photographer, you know, If they include a complimentary engagement session, definitely take it up and use it. If the engagement session, is additional, I still think it's a very valuable thing to do. Just, like I said, so you can have that experience of knowing how the photographer works and also how you feel in front of the camera. If you have a great experience at your engagement session and you may be a little bit camera shy, but your photographer kind of, pushes you in the right direction towards posing and setting you at ease, then again, it kind of reaffirms the fact that you made the right decision. And on the day of your wedding, you know that you have nothing to worry about.
We have 2 planning meetings prior to a couple's wedding where we sit down and we hash out the details and creating those moments. We start with a blank piece of paper. And one of my mentors, Mitch Taylor, is somebody that has really pointed things out to me, and that you start with a blank piece of paper and creating an event for somebody. And that's where you make all the magic happen and planning this out. It could be anything that a couple wants it to be. And you don't have to stick to something you've seen at a wedding just because it was done at a friend's wedding. It doesn't have to be that way for yours.
Yes.
So being able to create, and so having those planning meetings are essential in building that rapport, that relationship with couples, but just being invested in really wanting to get to know them and who they are and what the meaning is to their celebration, and identifying with that so I can do an effective job when it comes to the day of representing them on the microphone in front of all their friends and family. Working with a particular couple and knowing how they are, I'm introducing the wedding party, for example, by first and last name or just first name as they come out. Making a connection with who those people are in the wedding party. That's another way that you could make it more personalized. Does everybody know that's attending the wedding know how that person in the wedding party is connected to the bride and groom? Probably not.
Yep.
On your average wedding. So saying a best friend from college or a Mets fan, or just adding that little bit of personality to it, or almost like a wedding roast. It depends on the couple. And if they want to do that and have fun with the wedding party, then they can do that. And all these fun facts about each person that's being introduced, what they like, what their hobbies are, what their passions are as they're coming out. And they're hearing this before they're actually walking out, and they know it's them before you even say their name. And it's a fun way of doing things. It's not for every couple. And those are some suggestions that I'd throw out there during a visit. Couples start thinking from that, okay, this could be something a little different that no one's seen before, and you could have a lot of fun with it.
Having a photographer or, all of your vendors that have your best interest in mind versus what they say they want to create. Us as artists and creatives, of course, we want something special. We want, to create this beautiful landscape with the bride and groom in it. But it's less about the background or what the location is. It's more about, the couple or the bride and groom and their interaction together and what's important to them. So I think that, when you're talking to your vendors and your vendors are genuinely interested in what you want or finding out what you want as a couple, that is so important and powerful because, when you look back on it and you look back at your photographs or your videos from that day, and it really portrays your personalities and who you are, then that, it was done right. Versus, just having, sometimes we can have amazing photographs, but they might lack that bit of emotion that's in there or showing that connection between the couple. And those are the things that really stand out and last the time. They become timeless. So like I said before, 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now, you look back and you still see those same people.
There are couples that I meet with who oftentimes think about hiring a family member to be their photographer. There are plenty of family members that can do a phenomenal job taking pictures and capturing moments at a bride and groom's wedding and trained to do that. But in many cases, there aren't.
Well, the first thing I would say is that if you're inviting your family and friends there, you want them to enjoy the wedding, right? You don't want them to be there and work.
Right.
This is when you hire a professional, they're there to work and we're doing our job, and that's our number one focus is making sure that everything is going seamlessly and that there's no stress involved. And, another thing to think about with family members is God forbid something goes wrong. The family member does not have backup equipment. They don't have a second shooter with them. Anything could happen. And you have to think down the road, are you going to have negative feelings with that family member that they may have messed up your wedding? They missed something, and to me, family is very important. And I would never want to jeopardize my family relationship with something of that scale. When you're photographing a wedding, it's very intensive. You're there from the time that the bride and groom are getting ready in the morning, pretty much till the end of the day, the end of the reception. And to me, I would rather that family member is there enjoying that party with them versus having to work, and sit behind a camera the whole time. Don't get me wrong, I still have fun every wedding I go to, but it's my job to make sure that everything goes the way it's supposed to. And if something goes off course, I know how to correct that and make sure it comes back to go the right way. And if something happens, we always carry backup equipment. We have second photographers that come with us. And most of the time I have an assistant as well. So if something happens, they run off to get something while I'm still there taking care of the situation. One great thing that I can talk about was we had a wedding, and the brides, we go a little above and beyond most other photographers. I will, pat myself on the back more my wife on the back for this. We had multiple occasions where things have gone wrong that we go out of our way to take care of. Mm-hmm. One that sticks out is a bride was just about to walk down the aisle and her whole bouquet fell apart.
Yeah.
And between my wife and our assistant, they were able to go grab everything, put it back together so she had her bouquet to walk down the aisle with. And I was still able to be in front of the church to make sure that I was there to photograph it, as she came down the aisle. So we didn't miss anything. Mm-hmm. We were there, to go and know what to do in that situation to take care of it. As where, an aunt, uncle, cousin that may be a photographer, that day of the wedding, they might not have that skill set, or they might have not brought, what they needed to take care of that. Working with all of your vendors together, especially on a timeline, is extremely important, so that all of the vendors are on the same page the day of the wedding. So, when the photographer, makeup artist, DJ, florist, the officiant, everybody knows what's going on at the same time is incredible, because nobody's running around to find out what's going on. You don't have, somebody that's going to miss something because they weren't educated at the time of when things were going to happen. One thing that we do is we work with our couples to help them build their timeline from the start of hair and makeup in the morning all the way through when they're leaving the reception. So we send out a questionnaire that they're able to work on. They can edit it throughout the whole time. And it starts at, where you're getting ready, addresses, phone numbers, phone numbers not only of the bride and groom, but also other people that will be there, because we don't really want to call the bride and groom and bother them with little questions that day. You pick a best man and a maid of honor for a reason. That's their job. So we call them and ask, where are you guys? What room are you in this morning? And then once that starts, we know who we're working with as makeup artists. We know where the guys are going to get ready. So one of us can split up, take pictures of the guys getting ready. One else will be with the girls getting ready. Most of the time we spend most of the time with the bride. She has a little bit more to go through to get ready in the morning. Most of us guys, we're pretty simple. We get up, take a shower, throw on our tux, maybe shave, and we're done. And after that, when are you guys leaving? Are you leaving by limo? Are you driving? What time are you leaving? How long does it take to get from where you're getting ready to either the church or the ceremony site? So that all these things take a play into planning out your day, not just for us as the vendors, but also you knowing, when things are going to happen. And trust me, almost every single wedding I've done, I think 4 in my whole career have been on time. Most weddings run late, and I'll tell you right now, that's perfectly okay. They cannot start without you. So, and then knowing the rules of, if you're going to get married in a church, what are the rules in the church? Do they allow flash photography? Do they allow you on the sacristy? Knowing those things so that you don't step on somebody's toes
Right.
and, have a priest or whoever get upset that, you did something that they didn't like, because that'll eventually come back to the bride and groom. And that's something we would never want. So we try and find that so everybody's on the same page. And then same thing with the reception. Do you want to do a first look? First looks are extremely popular these days, so that you can get all your formal pictures done before the party so that you can actually enjoy your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, how much time is allotted for the formal pictures of the bride and groom and bridal party, after the ceremony, and where will those be taken? How long does it take to get there? How long does it take to get from there back to the reception site? All those things take into effect of how long the day will be, and knowing where everybody should be at what time. And then when things will happen, which is, why it's key to work with an excellent DJ to know that, what time is entrances, what time is first dance, what time are parent dances, what time is cake cutting. This way that, the photographers don't miss any of that. A lot of the times when they feed the vendors, our dinners, they may put us in a different room, or they may, not tell you when those things are going to happen. But if it's in the timeline, at least we have a sense of when it's going to happen, so that somebody is in that room to make sure that those moments are captured. They never want to miss something like that.
And you're working very hard throughout the day, from the very beginning of following that bride and
Absolutely.
capturing those pictures, and all the way to the end of their celebration, most times staying for the whole celebration until that very last song or their send-off. So having a timeline where everybody's on the same page, that it plays such an important role in being able to make sure that those moments are captured, whether it's the photographer, the videographer, the MC, that the venue knows this, that the catering staff knows what's coming next.
Yeah, so that they don't, the bride and groom don't have to wonder, what's happening,
Right.
Why isn't this here yet? And if somebody is stressed about that situation, one of us can go over and tell them, look, it's under control. Here's what happened. This way, set their mind at ease so they can get back to why they're there. They're there to celebrate their wedding, not worried about timelines or, when the course is coming out. They're there to be happy, celebrate with their friends and family. That's the main point of the whole day.
Jason, can you talk about a particular wedding and a challenge you faced, how you went the extra mile to ensure things went as smoothly as possible?
Oh, I have lots. The first one that comes back to me is the wedding of Mike and Sarah. And this was probably back in 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. Everything was going smoothly through the morning. And when we got to the church, the mother of the bride, the bride was in the limo ahead of her. The father and mother of the bride were in their personal vehicle behind them. And they had, I think it was 2 of their nephews, nieces, or children in the back seat. And as the mother got out of the car, her hand was in between the 2 doors, and the child in the back slammed the door shut with her hand in the door. So the bride is now looking back at mom, and mom is laying back in the seat, and her father is over her, asking her what's wrong. And the bride is having a heart attack, thinking that something huge just happened to her mom. Mm-hmm. And guests of the wedding started coming over. Myself and my wife are EMTs in the state of Connecticut. So we're also trained to handle, medical emergencies. So I walk over to Sarah and I tell her, your mom's okay. She hit her door in the car, or hit her hand in the car door. It's okay. I have somebody going to get her an ice pack. She's okay. And she's still, in a little bit of a panic, but I was able to calm her down. I was able to calm her mom down. And then a few guests come over, and somehow this crazy story of she was stung by a bee comes up. Then someone else started a story that she was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
This now got back to the bride. She's now losing it.
Yes.
So myself and my wife went over to her to reassure her she is not. She is okay. Everything is fine. And one of us went in to tell the priest what was going on and tell him it was going to be a little bit delayed. We're having a little situation outside. We ended up getting her mom okay. Everything was fine. Got her an ice pack. She was set. We walked her to the front of the church. and then everything progressed as normal again. So we had to deal with about a half hour of, you know, that happening, but we were able to calm down everybody, get everything back under control. And then we were able to make up that timeline and get things back on track.
Sure.
You know, speeding up a little bit of the other process of making sure that we were able to do formals quickly and efficiently, because nobody really loves to do formal photos. You know, most people want to get their family portraits done and out so they can get to the cocktail hour and eat and drink and be merry. So we were able to make that up and get that timeline back on track,
right,
and get everybody calm, cool, and collective so they can get back to enjoying and having a good time.
And the main thing is just caring about your couples and wanting their event to be a success. Jason, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And
thank you for having me.
So just a couple of examples for any couples that are looking for photographers. What's the best way for couples to get in touch with you?
The best way is to visit our website, which is pretty simple. It's jasonlovesmaggie.com. My email address is jason@jasonlovesmaggie.com. Pretty simple. And it goes back to, you know, why I do what I do. I love my wife, and my wife is Maggie.
If you have any questions about entertainment in general, the best way to reach me is through collins-entertainment.com. And you could also reach me at collinsproductionsdj@gmail.com. Phone number to reach us is 860-670-4986. And this is all the time we have today. Stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks.